You can use frequency separation found in the filters menu in Affinity Photo in all kinds of ways with all types of images. Doesn't have to be a photo, it can be something like this. So frequency separation. Now what does it do? Well, it splits the image into high frequency and low frequency. But it doesn't split it in multiple other ways as well, but however, that's what you get, high frequency and low frequency. And it's super useful for clearing out things. You can go with this, so click apply, use brush strokes to remove sort of artifacts. However, you can use it in other ways as well. So just increase the radius there. You can see the result with that. However, what it does generate, once I click apply, 2 layers. You can modify this. You can see the end result. You can change the tolerance. Sometimes the result is brilliant. But I'm going to go with medium. I like medium. I must admit that is my favourite. I'm just going to have a little bit of structure, a little bit of colour coming through, but then I'm going to blur this. Doesn't look like anything's changed. Well, it has, because if you go over to layers, and you can find that view and studio and layers, you've got high frequency and low frequency. And you can turn them off. So if I turn high frequency, keep that on. Low frequency, I've turned it off. Or just deselected. Now what you can do, you can go over here and apply filters to it. If you want to. Actually, just before I do that, I'm just going to turn that back on again. You don't have to use linear light. You can also go through all the others. Difference, I think difference looks great. Luminosity, colour, whole range of different, that's quite nice. A nice smeary, blurry effect. Really brilliant for sort of like I think a landscape design. That's just absolutely glorious. However, it's not what I want, because I'm just going to go with linear light and we'll turn that off. Just want to show you can use blending modes, super useful. However, filters. Go down to, there's deform, you could distort it in all kinds of ways, and I will do that later, but I'm just going to quickly show detect and detect edges. One that I don't really think that looks so great normally, but this, once you do that, you can actually see absolutely beautiful. You've got all that lovely structure, all the ripples, all the way through this. Just creates the most beautiful design. Now, what you can then do is, of course, you can bring back low frequency, and the end result actually doesn't look so good because you've got that and that. However, of course, you can run through and you've got difference. Overlay, you've got some lovely, beautiful colour sort of effects running through that. Also lighten, that's just, and now you can still see the structure. So you can see the ripples of the, just going through as it goes all around. And you can see the lines. I think that's just a beautiful design. And of course, you can always deselect that again. You can always apply it again. So filters, detect edges, and you can apply it again. You can get some real quite intense. And also, of course, you don't have to just keep like that. Maybe go for Gaussian blur, a little bit of blurring. So you get sort of nice sort of glow. Maybe use filters. Another one of my favourites, maximum blur. And you can create this sort of like beautiful, and this is obviously with the circular option, create a nice sort of, and again, similarly go back up here, darken, just turn that on so you can actually see it, and you end up with this very unusual design here. Difference, very like painterly look, very, very unusual. And you can run through these, just try these out. Add, like that one, dark colour burn. I mean, that just creates absolute, and that's all from the basic thing. I haven't changed any of the structure, really. I've been obviously doing a couple of effects, but I haven't really, you can still see the general, what it was before, but it's now become a sort of like, as if, I don't know, some painter has come to that and painted it in a really more natural approach. I think that's just beautiful. But again, you can still work even more. So instead of just, I can deselect one, I haven't even touched low frequency. So you can modify that as well. Maybe instead of keeping it like that, you can always apply blurs to it, make it even more blurry. So you've got the colour there, and apply. And again, go back to this one, put that on, and you can see the end result. Now you might decide, you know what, I don't want that original one with the frequency. Maybe it's just, that was too much. You can always undo. So you just go back to, that's the basic detect edges. And then you can go back to this one again. Let's turn that on. And then go for, now if you go for detect edges for this one, the result is interesting as well, actually. You've got this sort of nice sort of very worm-like sort of design, light, long stretches of colour, which I think is good. And of course, what you can also do, filters, and auto levels, you can always apply that. So you can create some very interesting colour combinations. And you can go back to high frequency again and then bring that back again. And you can create some, well, that's a combination of the high frequency detect edges on both, but applied to separate and using lighten or linear light. And see, linear light, which was the default, doesn't actually look very good at that point. Then you've got pin light, difference, exclusion. I think that looks nice as well. All kinds of combinations. Now, of course, once you've done that, you can always go to layer and merge visible. And you can always remove them. Personally, I always find it's easier to remove because I end up working with them. I do that so often, just end up working with that one thinking nothing's changing. That's very strange. Right, so there it is. What you can do, again, you can go to filters and frequency separation. And you can see the result then. Again, I would go for median. I like median personally. So you can again with that. And that really comes very blurry over there. But you can still, obviously got some colour here. Not too much. In fact, you can reduce it down. You just got that lovely structure all the way through there. Click apply. And again, exactly the same as before. Go up to the high frequency. Linear light is the default. Don't have to keep it. You can always go for maybe hue or saturation, average. Just try them out. I mean, that one, reflect. I mean, look at that. That's just beautiful. The literally glowing as it goes through. But you've still got that structure that was right from the start. But you can now just keep working at these things. So again, if you want to, detect edges. So just deselect that one. I always like to work just from one. Just go there, detect edges. Again, filters, detect edges. You can see even more structure, ripples, all sort of lines all the way through this. And you can always work on this. So you don't have to go with, maybe go for auto levels. I always like just to boost it up a bit. Maybe go to a layer and new adjustment layers and levels and work a bit more than that. Because sometimes I think the auto levels doesn't always generate the result that I want. So maybe like this, just really brighten it up. And you've got blend modes, of course. You can run through those if you want to try those out. Always love doing that. And there. So you got that. And again, you can merge those if you want or not. And if you want, deselect that and just work with low frequency. And again, you can then maybe distort that. Go for distort, deform. So add some handles around the edge. Always work with that because what happens, otherwise what happens, it will just distort and pull in. And you end up the layer looking really bad. So it's nice to work from the inside out. Otherwise you get this sort of effect where you get sort of a gap appearing at the bottom. I really wish there was a freeze feature where you could sort of keep it within that sort of thing so it doesn't drag away from the edge. Because quite often I do this sort of thing and I suddenly look at it later and I think, oh, there's a bit of a gap. I've just suddenly noticed there's like up here, there's a gap appearing. I don't want that. You can really nicely distort this design. You can see this all. So you've got the colour there. And again, you can always go to filters, colours, auto levels, contrast. I always love trying them. Go through them, see if they make a difference or not. And then you can always bring this back in again. And you can see the end result there. And you can always remove that. If you don't want that levels one, just go there and go for reflect. Well, you know what? Sometimes it might not. And I can go for overlay. You can see the end result there. And again, once you're happy with the design, you can always go to layer, merge visible. So it's all merged. Now, just drag that above there. I say always prefer to get rid of the lower layers. And I've just got that design now. And again, you can still continue to work with this, of course. Colours, auto levels, just to boost it up, maybe do a little bit of additional work. But that's still much the same sort of structure. But you obviously got a bit of colour variation all the way through because of that lower frequency feature. Now, I haven't modified any of the structure. The structure is still much the same as the first, right at the start image. If I had an example of it, I would show that. But that's simply, and again, you can always go for layer and again, new adjustment if you want to, levels just to boost it up a bit. Because frankly, it always seems, whoops, don't want that. Just a bit brighter than, and that's the end result. And that's using the frequency separation, which I think is a great feature, useful for obviously for standard photos, but also useful for creating weird and wonderful designs that like this. Hope you found this of interest. A dislike or like, always appreciated. Thank you much.